Hi, students. Dr. Cohen here. I'm going to go briefly over the requirements for the draft of the literature review and then really spend most of the time talking about how to do a peer review of the paper that you'll be assigned. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And as you can see, these are the various sections. So really, I just wanted to start out by talking about the requirements for the paper draft. So in the paper draft, I'm not evaluating your content. I'm making sure that the content that's required is there because this draft is going to go under review by whoever gets assigned your paper for a peer review. Okay? So what do you need to have in there? You're going to write it just like you're going to write the final paper. So it's a 5 to 7 page double spaced paper that includes various sections. I want to say if you look down under here, you'll see that I ask you to specifically label each of the sections. And if you have subtopics, label those as well. And the reason is that it makes it easier for me to find the sections as written. And I don't want to be struggling with this, so just label your sections. So in the introduction, so you label introduction, you write an introduction, which is kind of an opening paragraph or two that talks about the obstacles that you're going to be dealing with. So what are the problems you're going to be dealing with? And then any subtopics within that, and then your program or policy, and then any subtopics within that. So your outline will help you with that. Then at the bottom, at the end, you're going to have a conclusion, which should be all of the key findings from your paper. Okay, so kind of summarizing them again in a paragraph or two. Okay. So that's the top, that's the bottom, and in the middle, you're going to talk about your obstacles. So you'll label a section that says obstacles, and then within that, maybe you'll talk specifically like about women or about demographics or about whatever particular obstacle kind of broken down into the kind of subtopics depending on what you're covering. So label each of the right obstacles and then as each section, okay, label those just before the paragraphs that will cover that. Then you're going to talk about the program or policy that you're using to address the obstacle, the problem. And there you will write program, policy, solution, whatever you want to call it. And then a kind of like probably an opening paragraph to that that says, in this section, I'm going to discuss this and this and this and this. Okay. And then each of your subtopics will have a label. So maybe it's implementation of the policies, evaluations of the policies, challenges to implementing the policies. And each of those will be kind of a subtopic, and you will list each of those and then provide content within them. You have got to learn how to do APA formatting. I realize that we have great formatting tools that can be used, and some of them are not great. And what really matters, if you want to use a citation generator, I say go for it, but make sure that you know what it's supposed to look like so that if there are errors in the citation generation, you can fix it. Just as an example, some citation generators will do all caps in the title, right? Or maybe they'll italicize the title instead of italicizing the journal name. Or often what students do is they put like the search link for that as at the end. It's like a hyperlink to your search efforts on this. That doesn't belong there. The DOI link belongs there if you can find it. Please include that. Okay. And then, so know how to do APA formatting and format your stuff in APA. For this draft paper, no more than one quote per page. You have got to learn how to paraphrase and how to summarize. Now, just because something is not a direct quote doesn't mean you don't cite the source. You have to do citations, in-text citations that are the author and the year of publication. And so that's important to understand that it's not just quotes that get cited, it's anything that isn't general knowledge. So no quotes more than 30 words long, because now you're letting the other authors write your papers for you. So one quote at the most. If you want to use no quotes, that's fine. No more than one quote, and no quotes over 30 words. The rest of it has got to be summarization or paraphrasing, and you have to cite sources. Then you have to have a list of references, so that's your in-text citation, and then a list of references at the end, and at least 8 of them have to be peer-reviewed sources that were published in the last 5 years. Okay, so again, I'm not grading content other than to say it's there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about what you're going to do for your peer review. Here's the information about the peer review. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to almost like grade the paper using the requirements for the final paper. So that's your responsibility. You'll receive a paper. I will either email you, probably email you a link rather than an attachment. I haven't quite figured out how to do that, but you'll get the paper and then you'll open it. Okay. And you're going to review it using the same grading rubric and process that I'm going to use for the final paper. So quickly, I just wanted to show you. So here's the final paper, and here's the rubric. I'm sorry that is just really hard to read. There we go. Okay, so this is better. So there's supposed to be an introduction and a conclusion, use of literature, logic of the content, minimum content. So look through this and see what is required for the final paper. And that's the form that you're going to use for evaluating the paper. Okay, so in this assignment of reviewing another student's paper, you're going to use some tools. And the 2 main tools are highlighting and leaving comments. So basically, like let's start with this. I would just go ahead and copy this out in this little table with the highlight colors. And I thought I would go over this for you. So I think I have it all set. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, there we go. So that goes at the top. And then if you see mechanical errors such as spelling and grammar, and little tip on that, often spelling and grammar in Word documents are underlined in red for spelling errors and blue for grammatical errors. So just highlight them if you see them. I'm not saying there are any in this, but I'm going to do this. So I'm highlighting it, and then you see you've got this highlighter, and if it's a mechanical error, it's going to be highlighted in yellow. So there's that. If it's a citation error, it's going to be highlighted in green. Okay. And if it is that the information it is not common knowledge and doesn't have a citation at the end of it. So let me give you an example here. So you can see at the end of this sentence, I give you the source, right? If I'm putting out information and it doesn't have a source at the end of it and it's not general knowledge, what you're going to do is you're going to come to the end of the sentence and you're going to sorry, it should be blue. Make that blue and see, and that's an indication when it's at the end of the sentence that the problem is that related to not citing a source. And in addition to that, you're also going to provide comments. So maybe here at the bottom of the first paragraph, I right click and I hit new comment. And my comment is, great job introducing your literature. Whatever it is. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I cannot. Okay. And then make sure you hit this little button. And now the comment has been added. You see how I do that? For those of you that may not have Word or access to Word, you're welcome to upload the document. And I think have it somewhere. I do. There we go. So here's the same document, only this time it's in the Google Drive. Here again, you're going to need to uh, paste the box. And here, I'm just going to make this. Okay. I'm not going to bother trying with that. But the same color coding and, um, like right here, spelling error, right? So do this. I probably should have checked how to highlight with this. Okay, tools. All right. Well, I honestly don't know how to highlight using this, so you're gonna have to look it up. But I can tell you, so you can, oh, maybe that's, okay. So you're gonna have to figure out how to highlight it, but you can always add a comment by hitting comment. And here again, great job here. Or maybe this needs a citation. And then you're going to make sure you hit comment. Okay, so now the comments are there and your person can find that. Okay. And I apologize for not knowing how to, oh, there it is, it's right there. So we do that, and we go here and yellow. Okay, so that's how you highlight. It's right there. All right, let's go back to this. Okay, so you can use different colors if you want to, but basically the highlights are about the citations, so and mechanical errors, and both the citations in the document, the in-text citations, but then the reference list. If there's errors there, highlight them. And if they make the same error multiple times, you can make a comment that says only the first word of the title is capitalized, or the things like that that often people will repeat multiple times. Okay, so you're also going to have to include comments, and at least some of them have got to be positive. But remember, you're helping to make this person's paper a better paper. Okay, so keep that in mind. So and then when you're done, get that information back to me. So either send me the link to the document that might be on the Google Drive. Make sure you give me editorial permissions, because I'm going to need to download that to share it with the person. And then or attach it as an email to the Dropbox. So either way, so if you're giving me the assignment and it's on a Google Drive, make sure that you give me the link in your submission so that I can go find it, and make sure you give me editorial permission so I can review it. So the two areas that I'm going to look at, that the errors that are in the paper relative to mechanics, information not derived from the literature, or citations are all highlighted. So are your highlights there? Have you highlighted the errors? And then that you provide at least 12 comments. So this is a 5 to 7 page paper. So it's like 2 or 3 comments a page, comments, and that at least 2 of them have to be positive. Okay, so that's how you're going to get graded on this. Okay, so that's the assignment for doing the review. That's how you review the paper of another student. One of the other things that I tend to do is I tend to make sure that everything that is in the document is also in the text of the document. Every citation is also in the reference list, and that everything that is in the reference list is also in the document. So I think I might take a minute and just show you what I mean by that. Let me pull up the literature review again, and let me screen share again. Okay. So here, I might look at this, and here's one. So Penrod. So I go to Penrod and I go up here and hold on just a second. I have a bar in the way. Get out of here. Okay, so Penrod, and I go to here to find, and Penrod is not in the reference list. So I would highlight this and write a comment saying you need to add Penrod to the reference list. Okay, I'll do it one more time for another one. Let's look at Brown and Glasgow. So I highlight Brown and I click on find. Well, okay, so there's the reference, Brown and Glasgow, right? So now I'm in the reference list, and I can also do it the other way, which usually, by the way, I start with the reference list and look to see in the paper. Sometimes people make errors in spelling last names, so it may be right in the reference list, but wrong in the text of the document. But you can just write a note that says, I can't find this reference in the document. So let's take this one here from Colburn, and I'm going to try and find it. And as you can see, Coburn is cited multiple times in the document. Okay, so usually the process that I use is I open the document, I look to see if everything that's in the reference list is in the document itself. I make sure that the formatting of the references is good. I count them. Are there really, that 8 in the last 5 years? And if it's not there, then you just write a comment. Say you only have 4. You're going to have to add more, right? That's a comment. And then I start at the beginning and I read through and highlight as needed and write comments as appropriate. Remember, it shouldn't all be negative, right? But make sure that anything that you say, unlike, wow, really good job with this section, is constructive and helpful. People need positive feedback. But the whole idea of doing this is to help people to make the changes that they need to make so that their final paper is solid. Okay? If you have any additional questions about this assignment, you are welcome to contact me, come to my office hours, or email me and we'll set up a time for us to meet. Okay, best of luck with both the draft and your review of the drafts. All right, take care. Bye now.